The Israelites sent messengers to the tribe of Benjamin, saying, "What a terrible thing has been done among you. Give up those evil men, those troublemakers from Gibeah, so we can execute them and purge Israel of this evil." But the people of Benjamin would not listen. What's up, cool people? My name's Matt. Welcome back to our Bible study. Alright, so we are currently looking at Judges chapter 20. Now, for a bit of context, the last couple of chapters have shown the Israelites on a rather downward trend as far as following God's commands and really even just worshiping God in general. But last chapter in particular showed a particular town within Israel that was, I believe it was Gibeah, who the people there like literally were wanting to commit acts similar to Sodom. You know, Sodom that got destroyed by God for their evil and just their rampant sin and uncaring for other people and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Israelites are doing that now. Not a good look. But that wound up getting technically a concubine of a Levite. She basically wound up dying from what these people did. And so he winds up as sort of an indictment of Israel, I think. He winds up sending various parts of her deceased body to the different tribes of Israel. And it seemingly serves as a bit of a wake-up call, maybe. In fact, let me just go back to the end of chapter 19 real quick here. Verse 30 saying, "Everyone who saw it said, 'Such a horrible crime has not been committed in all the time since Israel left Egypt.' Think about it. What are we going to do? Who's going to speak up?" You know, them realizing that, wow, this is bad, something needs to change here. So anyway, the kind of section title here isn't looking great, but we'll just have to see what happens here as we dig into Judges chapter 20. So here we go. Then all the Israelites were united as one man, from Dan in the north to Beersheba in the south, including those from across the Jordan in the land of Gilead. The entire community assembled in the presence of the Lord at Mizpah. The leaders of all the people and all the tribes of Israel, 400,000 warriors with armed swords, took their positions in the assembly of the people of God. Word soon reached the land of Benjamin that the other tribes had gone up to Mizpah. The Israelites then asked how this terrible crime had happened. This terrible crime apparently being the just outright abuse, and that's putting it lightly, of the Levite's concubine. So, message has been sent, and its purpose seems to be abundantly clear, and, message received, at least by most of Israel. I mean, it says all up here, but then it has the tribe of Benjamin specifically in a parenthetical here, kind of implying that maybe they were either late to the party or, maybe not in as immediate agreement with the other tribes. I don't know. So they all gather, and I guess they're trying to figure out what to do about this. So then, verse 4. The Levite, the husband of the woman who had been murdered, said, My concubine and I came to spend the night in Gibeah, a town that belongs to the people of Benjamin. That night, some of the leading citizens of Gibeah surrounded the house, planning to kill me, and they raped my concubine until she was dead. So I cut her body into 12 pieces and sent the pieces throughout the territory assigned to Israel. For these men have committed a terrible and shameful crime. Now then, all of you, the entire community of Israel, must decide here and now what should be done about this. Okay, so Gibeah being within the territory of Benjamin explains maybe a little bit of why they weren't quite, following along with everybody else in this whole assembly and subsequent discussion. But, so I guess that answers the general question that the Israelites had about how it happened. So yeah, that's kind of the summary. So like these people in Gibeah actually wanted to do these things to the Levite himself, but instead that, they wound up getting a hold of his concubine and sexually abused her until she died. Anyway, so now they're trying to figure out what to do about this, I guess. Verse 8. And all the people rose to their feet in unison and declared, "None of us will return home. No, not even one of us. Instead, this is what we will do to Gibeah. We will draw lots to decide who will attack it. 1/10 of the men from each tribe will be chosen to supply the warriors with food, and the rest of us will take revenge on Gibeah of Benjamin for this shameful thing they have done in Israel." So all the Israelites were completely united, and they gathered together to attack the town. So, I would think the idea is, that they're wanting to root out the corruption, so to speak, within Benjamin, or at least specifically within Gibeah. So it's 1/10 of the men from each tribe will supply the warriors with food, and then the rest are going to... Well, it says the rest of us will take revenge, but it also mentioned they were going to draw lots to decide who will attack it, so, maybe it was, one particular tribe would lead the charge, and others are there as support, or maybe that was just figuring out the general formation of their attack. But anyway, they're going to end up attacking the town of Gibeah. Check the footnotes here. Hebrew says 10 men from every 100, 100 men from every 1,000, and 1,000 men from every 10,000, which is basically saying 1/10 of the men. So, yay for summarizing stuff, I guess, and not forcing us to read the longer version of that there, because it basically says the same thing. And the rest of us will take revenge on Gibeah. The Hebrew says Gibeah, but it's assumed to be a variant spelling, or believed, I should say, to be a variant spelling of Gibeah. It's a weird kind of thing, because, traditional Hebrew not having vowels and stuff. So, sometimes there are multiple... I don't know if transliteration is quite the right word, but there are multiple ways of spelling out the same thing, especially when it comes to proper nouns. Anyway, So then they're getting ready to attack. And then we get to verse 12. The Israelites sent messengers to the tribe of Benjamin, saying, "What a terrible thing has been done among you. Give up those evil men, those troublemakers from Gibeah, so we can execute them and purge Israel of this evil." But the people of Benjamin would not listen. Instead, they came from their towns and gathered at Gibeah to fight the Israelites. In all, 26,000 of their warriors, armed with swords, arrived in Gibeah to join the 700 elite troops who lived there. Among Benjamin's elite troops, 700 were left-handed, and each of them could sling a rock and hit a target within a hair's breadth without missing. Israel had 400,000 experienced soldiers armed with swords, not counting Benjamin's warriors. Yeah, we've got about 27,000 if you round up after adding in the 700 elite warriors or whatever, versus 400,000. But I guess, some of the troops from Benjamin were quite skilled. But not entirely sure what the left-handedness has to do with it. The last time left-handedness came up in a discussion or in a, Bible chapter thing was in relation to Ehud. And at least in his case, that was generally seen as a disability. Or, it wound up with him being viewed as less of a threat than he was. But now it almost seems to imply that, that's actually a benefit or an advantage in combat. But I don't know. Maybe it's just because the left-handedness wouldn't so easily have been accounted for in combat training, or I don't know. Let's not dig too much into the details of that, because I'm going to wind up overanalyzing quite a bit if I do that. But anyway. Alright, verse 18. Before the battle, the Israelites went to Bethel and asked God, which tribe should go first to attack the people of Benjamin? The Lord answered, Judah is to go first. So the Israelites left early the next morning and camped near Gibeah. Then they advanced toward Gibeah to attack the men of Benjamin. But Benjamin's warriors, who were defending the town, came out and killed 22,000 Israelites on the battlefield that day. But the Israelites encouraged each other and took their positions again at the same place they had fought the previous day. For they had gone up to Bethel and wept in the presence of the Lord until evening. They had asked the Lord, should we fight against our relatives from Benjamin again? And the Lord had said, go out and fight against them. Okay. So, some of the fighting has ensued. 22,000 of the Israelites were killed, making it seem a little questionable as to whether or not they should do this. But they seek God's direction, and he says, no, keep going. Probably, because God isn't exactly a fan of the types of things that Gibeah had done that prompted all this. I mean, very sad day when you have to fight against, your own people. But in order to root out the evil, that was kind of what had to be done. So, verse 24. So the next day they went out again to fight against the men of Benjamin. But the men of Benjamin killed another 18,000 Israelites, all of whom were experienced with the sword. Then all the Israelites went up to Bethel and wept in the presence of the Lord and fasted until evening. They also brought burnt offerings and peace offerings to the Lord. The Israelites went up seeking direction from the Lord. In those days, the Ark of the Covenant of God was in Bethel, and Phinehas, son of Eleazar, and grandson of Aaron, was the priest. The Israelites asked the Lord, "Should we fight against our relatives from Benjamin again, or should we stop?" The Lord said, "Go, tomorrow I will hand them over to you." So we've had a total of 40,000 Israelites killed in battle at this point, which was about 10% of their experienced soldiers, according to verse 17. But they still had a major numbers advantage. Now, I don't know if there's much significance to the Ark of the Covenant being in Bethel, other than that it gives more credence to the idea that that was where they went to seek direction from the Lord. So anyway, God says tomorrow he will hand Gibeah / Benjamin over to the rest of the Israelites. So let's see what happens here in verse 29. So the Israelites set an ambush all around Gibeah. They went out on the third day and took their positions at the same place as before. When the men of Benjamin came out to attack, they were drawn away from the town, and as they had done before, they began to kill the Israelites. About 30 Israelites died in the open fields and along the roads, one leading to Bethel and the other leading back to Gibeah. Then the warriors of Benjamin shouted, "We're defeating them as we did before." But the Israelites had planned in advance to run away, so that the men of Benjamin would chase them along the roads and be drawn away from the town. See, the whole ambush strategy seems to have worked really well for the people of Israel before. Makes you wonder why it took until the third day for them to think this. Although, day one, they might not have been expecting this much resistance from Benjamin. Day two, they might have thought it was just a matter of trying again. So day three, they decide to change the plan around a little bit. And they've, got the people of Benjamin confident, or feeling confident at least, that they're doing well. And now they're trying to draw them away from the town. And then verse 33. When the main group of Israelite warriors reached Baal Tamar, they turned and took up their positions. Meanwhile, the Israelites hiding in ambush to the west of Gibeah jumped up to fight. There were 10,000 elite Israelite troops who advanced against Gibeah. The fighting was so heavy that Benjamin didn't realize the impending disaster. So the Lord helped Israel defeat Benjamin, and that day the Israelites killed 25,100 of Benjamin's warriors, all of whom were experienced swordsmen. Then the men of Benjamin saw that they were beaten. The Israelites had retreated from Benjamin's warriors in order to give those hiding in ambush more room to maneuver against Gibeah. Then those who were hiding rushed in from all sides and killed everyone in the town. They had arranged to send up a large cloud of smoke from the town as a signal. When the Israelites saw the smoke, they turned and attacked Benjamin's warriors. Okay, I hate stopping in the middle of a verse, but this is the second paragraph in a row. It's like, got a paragraph break halfway through a verse. So anyway, 25,100 of Benjamin. Okay, so let me just make sure that I've got the numbers right. Okay, so according to this number, that's all but like 900 of the troops that Benjamin had. Although it says they were joining the 700 there, so okay, fine, 1,600. But still, that's a significant reduction of their forces. Percentage-wise, way bigger than the damage Benjamin did to the rest of the Israelites throughout the prior 2 days combined. So there's an ambush, and they basically charge in, kill a bunch of the people. I guess warriors included, because I guess those warriors were so focused on the group in front of them that they didn't really see what was coming from other directions. Speaking of other directions, footnote here at West, as in Greek and Syriac versions and the Latin Vulgate, Hebrew reads, hiding in the open space, rather than hiding in ambush to the west. But either way, point is, they came from an entirely different direction, just like swept through seemingly the town of Gibeah itself, and then maybe some of the, some of the troops of Benjamin. And they send up a smoke signal to say that I guess they had taken over the town, or at least defeated everyone there. And that was the signal for the rest of the Israelites to turn back around and press the attack again instead of retreating to draw Benjamin away. To draw the troops of Benjamin away from Gibeah. Anyway. Okay. So we'll pick up with the next paragraph. I'll call this 39b and following. By that time, Benjamin's warriors had killed about 30 Israelites, and they shouted, "We're defeating them as we did in the first battle." But when the warriors of Benjamin looked behind them and saw the smoke rising into the sky from every part of the town, the men of Israel turned and attacked. At this point, the men of Benjamin became terrified because they realized disaster was close at hand. So they turned around and fled before the Israelites toward the wilderness. But they couldn't escape the battle, and the people who came out of the nearby towns were also killed. The Israelites surrounded the men of Benjamin and chased them relentlessly, finally overtaking them east of Gibeah. That day, 18,000 of Benjamin's strongest warriors died in battle. The survivors fled into the wilderness toward the rock of Rimmon, but Israel killed 5,000 of them along the road. They continued to chase until they had killed another 2,000 near Gidom. I don't know. So that day, the tribe of Benjamin lost 25,000 strong warriors armed with swords, leaving only 600 men who escaped to the rock of Rimmon, where they lived for 4 months. And the Israelites returned and slaughtered every living thing in all the towns, the people, the livestock, and everything they found. They also burned down all the towns they came to within Benjamin. But, okay, so, see, I was trying to math stuff out before, and it basically did it for me down here. Oh well. And it even gives us a more detailed breakdown of how the different warriors of Benjamin died. But, in any case, yeah. So I guess, the men of Benjamin feel like they're doing well in the battle, but then they see the smoke behind them and realized, well, now the town's done for. This is not good. And that also left them nowhere to retreat to. So they had to just kind of scramble. Because if they stayed where they were, they would possibly get attacked from behind by those who had just, taken the town of Gibeah. But if they just try to retreat back to there, they're gonna wind up running into those same people anyway, and, they'll be getting attacked from both sides. So now it's like there's no plan on Benjamin's part other than just run away or something to that effect. So yeah. Footnote where it says people who came out of the nearby towns were also killed. It could have also read, but they couldn't escape the battle, for the people from the nearby towns also came out and killed them. That would actually make a little more sense, because otherwise you would think that would add more to the death toll on Benjamin's side. But maybe there were other people from other nearby towns in Benjamin that were like, kind of wanting to help and just took this as an opportunity to, help weaken their forces or, do some damage to Gibeah or whatever. Another footnote here just says the meaning of the Hebrew is uncertain. For the phrase finally overtaking them east of Gibeah. But you would think it would be near there, if they had been drawn away from Gibeah and then kind of pushed back, at least somewhat in that direction, but a little off from there, one direction, one way or the other. So anyway, so ultimately, the rest of the group of Israelites win. God did not lie when he said he would hand Benjamin over to them that next day. And thus ends the conflict, seemingly, with a whole bunch of other damage being done as well, as, as it's described in these verses down here. But, yeah. Not exactly looking good, but maybe a sign that things are going to change and get a little better. Maybe. In any case, that does it for Judges chapter 20. Okay, so, I guess it's a good thing that, the rest of Israel took action against the town of Gibeah. Unfortunately, the rest of the tribe of Benjamin decided to step in and, make things more difficult. But, it's one of those things where God has, basically demanded that they take such efforts to root out the evil or any evil that might be, amongst them. So while you wish it maybe could have happened in a less violent way, the sense I get is that ultimately it kind of had to be done. But, I don't know, hopefully things improve from there. I don't know, we'll see. Anyway, as always, like and share if you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell if you're on YouTube to get updates when I post new videos. If you're seeing this on Rumble or anywhere else, just follow and do whatever appropriate action there. I'm still not sure the whole Rumble thing is working. The past couple of times I've checked, it doesn't seem to have updated with anything new, even when I thought I fixed the issue. But anyway, whatever. No big loss, honestly. In any case, look down in the description wherever you're watching this from to get information on my social media pages and all that good stuff. And of course, leave your comments down below there with any thoughts you have. So that'll do it for now. Hope you're all doing well. Hopefully I'll see you soon for another video. Whatever the case is, till next time, stay cool, people.